you know, whoever makes the big decisions, you know, that's an important thing to do. And so you want to be able to, you know, be able to communicate what you're doing to, you know, bring
So
value to
Cameron,
student ministry and families. Yeah.
so I foresee that, in 2 weeks or 8 weeks or 6 years, around this long as lasts, um, I foresee that there'll be Sunday school classes where there'll be some people meeting in the class. My church is Sunday school, so that's why I say that. But you insert the word small group if you need that. And then those 3 or 4 students that are on, at a sporting event that day, they could zoom into your class. I mean, I think that as we as youth pastors begin to use these tools, that we could say to those kids that are going to the ball tournament on Saturday or Sunday, hey man, just let's call in and have a chat for 10 minutes before you go. Let me pray for you before you start your game. I mean, I what do you think? Think that'll work?
Yeah. I mean, looking for ways to connect. That's all. I mean, one of the things we're going to
That's
talk about in
it.
a second. I mean, as a small group leader, you want to be present. Yeah. You got to be present predictably. And at some level, you got to be present randomly, before those ball games, before those, you know, birthdays, things like that. So
Yeah.
that's a good word. Anybody have any other questions or things they want to add for other, you know, tools for the
Platforms,
job? What's that, Mike?
any platforms or tools for the job?
Yeah.
Look at those hands. Awesome.
Well, that's good. This is not a conversation that's going to stop here either. So, I mean, as we look into, you know, we're still trying to get a scope of the situation in youth ministry. And so as you see certain things, as you're looking around, you know, please, you know, share with us so that we share with anybody else. We'll give you credit. We don't care about the credit. We just, you know, want the kingdom to grow. And so, uh, you know, it's Mike, I love that you were sharing how excited your middle schoolers were, you know, to connect with you last Sunday on the computer. You know, that may be a tension point between them and their parents, you know, previously. Hey, I can't, you know, you're not allowed to do that on the computer. You know, there's that argument. I want a cell phone, you know, and the tantrum starts.
Yeah.
I have a 3-year-old, so I don't know what tantrums are like at all. But we just had one right before this call. So it's just so funny.
So
Um,
Cameron, I have one student and she has been MIA for the last 6 weeks. Okay. I mean, we've talked to her mom, we've reached out to her, but for some reason or another, she's just not shown interest in coming to Sunday school, or her mom's not brought her to Sunday school.
yeah.
We've even offered to go by and get her. Good youth pastor. And, but this past Sunday when we were online, she was there
Yeah.
smiling and having a good time. I mean, it was cool.
Praise the
Um,
Lord. And that's part of this opportunity. There's going to
it,
be
it really
kids,
is.
that's why you have these fun events, because you know that they'll come play dodgeball, but they won't come to Sunday school. Well, now you've got the opportunity, you know, you want your kids to be, you know, evangelistic and things like that. I mean, it's never easier to invite somebody to a group than when, you know, they can just hit the leave button if they want to leave. They don't have to share their own video. You know, I mean, there's a lot of, this is a pretty safe space when we're going to be talking about that too. But
And it was very interesting too to see how many of the parents stayed in the room. They were just outside of the camera for at least half of the small group. Now, again, this is 5th and 6th graders. My son was online with his Sunday school class today, and I nodded and walked on by. But anyway, so it is a great opportunity, as you've expressed.
Good. I'm just reading through some of our chat as well. Matthew, when you're looking at just for lack of a better term, you know, the senior adult Sunday school class is looking for ways to connect. The easiest one for them, if they already have a Google account, is Google. If they have an Apple device, FaceTime may be the easiest. Again, you need to try these out for yourselves. So you may not have to do as much sermon prep or other things as, you know, so you got to find new things to do at that time. But testing these platforms out is an important thing to do. So, and Ryan, thanks for commenting on that too. Mike, Rick's owes
Yes,
me
sir.
lunch. That's good. I wish I knew who that was. Any ideas for making Zoom small group Bible study interactive? You know, uh, you're not gonna create a flash game where there's a Jeopardy board and people are all interacting at the same time and playing, this game with you. No interactive PowerPoints, and so we'll answer that question by going to the next section. So we talked about the tools for the job. Now we're going to look at what's it like to host a good small group online. What does it take to do that? And one of the first things that I think is be familiar with the tools. Make sure that the camera's not looking up. You want to look on camera like you want to look in real life. And so if you want the kids looking up your nose the whole time in real life, then yeah, just let the thing look up your nose on, if that's how you want to be viewed. But, view yourself like you would want to be viewed in real life. And so, that can be awkward because I know for me, if you look up just a little bit, I've got dryer vents and I don't have any ceiling in here, but I've adjusted it down just enough so that you can't really tell that I don't have a finished basement.
So Cameron, are you wearing pants?
Yes.
Good choice. Good choice. Good choice. Also, as you think about your Zoom meeting or your video meeting, what's in your background? Is there something in your background that you wouldn't want the whole world to see? Maybe, I don't know. I have examples of people that I've had video chats with. They had things in the background that they probably wouldn't want their students to see. So I'm not telling you to wash
You
the
guys hear
surface
my
of the
lightsaber?
cup. Like things you don't want your students to see. So just be aware of that. I have a nice hole in my wall, and where I'm doing some remodeling. So I've got the camera fixed where it's not focusing right at that.
Nice. Now's not the time to display all your awesome Ozzy Osbourne vinyl covers.
Although that would be cool.
If you have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Learn that when you invite the middle schoolers over to your house, they start looking through your records and then anyway. So you live and you learn. That's good. So how to host a good small group online. Yeah. So test your equipment out. Unfortunately, this does involve some level of, competency with a phone, equipment. You got to get some kind of lighting, because if there's no light, then it looks kind of weird. Your Sunday school rooms, your small group rooms, they're not really dim either. So again, this is just an accurate representation of what it looks like to be in person with you. And so we still want this to be a human, interaction. Not interacting with the dark shadow looking up their nose. And so if you need to move around some lamps, get permission from your wife to move lamps around for 30 minutes for this meeting and promise you'll move them back, do whatever it takes. So that's going to take a little bit of time to set up, and make sure they can see you at a good angle. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to spend any money to do this, but I'm sure there's a lot of YouTube videos out there on, hey, how cheap, live stream setup or something. And, it's like, hey, they'll have all these affiliate links you can click and spend $54 and you'll have a tripod, a webcam, a mount, and a microphone, if that's the route you want to go. But you don't need those things.
Yeah.
If you have an iPad, if you have a phone, if you have a laptop, then those are going to do the job, really well. And, if you can you're still going to need a good camera angle. Again, not looking up your nose or
right. So Cameron,
at your midsection.
So a question, what if your senior pastor gives you pushback on this? What do you think you should do? I think that I would let him know the safety precautions that I have in place, meaning I would have 2 adults on every call. I think that I would let him know that I communicated with the parents. I think those are some of the things that I would do before I started the hosting these get-togethers online. Just being sure those things were done. And now I think I would communicate that with my senior pastor. You got anything else?
To communicate with your senior pastor?
Yeah, if your senior pastor is giving you some pushback about doing these online events.
Well, I mean, you can, if you need some words to throw there to cast some vision, I'm going to be sharing this document that I'm reading off of,
Okay.
at the end so that we can all, if you need help casting vision for how important connection is, real life
Yeah.
connection isn't going away just because in-person meetings are going away. And so, so if your senior pastor doesn't think, at some level, small group and discipleship and Sunday school is important, um, then I'm not sure you're at a Georgia Baptist church. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Sunday school jokes never get old. But you need to be able to clarify, hey, why is it important? And, what's the need? What are we going to do about it?
And this is how I'm keeping it safe.
Yeah. And so continuing on down the same, one of the things, how to host a good small group online is to create a safe space. You do that in person. You have probably done some active shooter training. When you walk into the room, it probably feels at some level comfortable. It's not like awkward if you walk into a room that just has a bunch of red and green lights and you're like, yeah, let's get real with each other. Let's be honest. I mean, that's just kind of a weird vibe. And so, you don't do that in person. So you're not going to do that online. You got to create a safe space. And one of the things, and, you have to do this in person, but online is like Mike mentioned, make sure there's two adults in the video call. Maybe you need to recruit somebody else to be in, this is volunteer recruitment right here. There's probably people who served in Upward that aren't getting to do Upward now that you could convince to be a small group leader. Volunteer recruitment is huge at this point because, you need to have some accountability in that group. They don't all need to, the small groups don't need to be recorded, just like your normal conversations aren't recorded when you have Sunday school, but you need to have two adults in the room, or, in the space. And Mike, you got anything to say there? Creating a safe space?
This is one of those questions that you always wrestle with. I mean, how much do you encourage students to say? You've always got that kid that wants to say too much too soon. Um, I probably shy away from saying or asking my students to say more than they're comfortable with being revealed. I mean, I believe in the safe space, but I also realize that a lot of middle schoolers are still developing that confidence of speaking. And
yeah, that's the role of a small group leader. I mean,
I agree.
is to build up
I
that
mean,
confidence.
You can say, hey guys, things you hear here today, you do not need to share. And I mean, you can emphasize that over and over and over and over, but I'm not sure how comfortable I am as a leader having them share things and trusting those middle schoolers. Now, maybe I'm a bad youth pastor, but that's just how I feel about it.
I mean, we struggle with those same things in small groups, right? And
Oh,
so,
most
I mean,
definitely.
you go from, Larry shares, my dad eats his boogers. Sally shares, oh, my mom had 3 milkshakes last night. Those are things that you don't, the kids don't need to be sharing. I mean, and those seem like trivial things, but, that's part of the confidentiality of a healthy small group. Obviously, there's a level of confidentiality that crosses the line and
Sure.
where it's like, okay, yeah, no, we've got to do something about this. But, you want to create a safe space, just like any normal in-person small group. You want to value acceptance